Good day, Guyana. Welcome to today's midday programming. My name is Alex Arjun from Real Guyana, and I'm here with my friends today, Nigel, John, and Campbell James. And we're here to promote our new film documentary, Releasing the Giants, Saving Guyana's Endangered Arapaima. Fellas, we're live and alive, just like all the Arapaima you guys have rescued. Thank you so much for being here today. We have a lot to talk about, a lot to share. And first of all, I'd like to start off by just saying happy heritage.
Okay, thank you very much for the greetings.
How are you guys doing today?
Well, actually, I'm feeling happy, and since it is Amerindia Heritage Month, I'm much more happy. As you said, we're happy and alive, to bring this to life.
Amazing. So, first of all, I just want to start out by telling the viewers what this is exactly. We are here promoting a documentary on Arapaima rescuing in the Rupununi region, specifically by the village of Apateri. And what is this documentary about? Well, as many of you know, over the past year and a half, there's been a extended dry season, which sort of accumulated into a very dry period. And this in turn has affected many parts of Guyana. I remember a few months ago, we've had a lot of wildfires here that went out of control, but especially in the interior region, there's been severe dry forest and wildfires as a result of the change in climate. And because of that, there have been a lot of dried up ponds where Arapaima, the largest scaled freshwater fish, have been dying, and there have been rescue efforts by the villagers of Apateri to save them because the Arapaima is a big part of the Apateri's ecotourism product, as well as they want to preserve these natural resources so that future generations can also enjoy them. So, fellas, I would like to thank you again for coming here. Nigel, I'd like to start with you. Just to give the viewers an understanding of what this is. Could you tell us what exactly is an Arapaima and why is that important to the village of Apateri?
Okay, well, Arapaima, as a matter of fact, is a giant fish, right? Which is described as the largest scaled freshwater fish. It can grow up to probably 12 and a half or even bigger in foot. It's very powerful fish that no one cannot really just get in there to catch it just like that. But it's kind of big, and I know that many people never see that in real life, but I'm telling you the size of it, and I have handled that for the past of couple of months ago. It's really nice, and it is really something that some people would like to see in real life.
Campbell, this is a endangered species and it's protected for the most part. I'm sure it wasn't always protected like it is today, now, and the efforts that are being done to conserve it, that wasn't always the case. Now, you've been around for a long time working with Arapaimas. How was it from, the beginning of when these conservation efforts started to present day? What did the numbers, the difference in numbers look like in terms of Arapaima population?
Okay, thank you very much. And I guess from the differences from previous year, from let's say 2001, and to this year, the forest in 2001 was very few 450 population, and up to this presence, the population really increased, really increased, and which is now we consider that, yeah, we made it by like managing and getting our program out, and based on conserving, and this is where we are standard of conservation by bringing those species population to our around our community and whole as in the North Rupununi.
I'm sure there was a lot of challenges in the beginning because how Arapaima were harvested it was a normal thing. So to change that mindset of people, what were the challenges to tell people, look, like we can't continue to harvest this species. We need to be more aware of its dwindling numbers, and we need to preserve it. That's not something that you could just tell somebody and,
Yeah.
and they would automatically do. So what challenges did you face in getting to this point where they're now more aware of the importance of this species?
Well, our challenges is to get us on our foot by attending meetings through NRDDB, which is North Rupunun District Development Board, and assisting through EOCRAMA, and to get this message to community, especially the people who have strong spirit in harvesting Arapaima. It's not so easy, right? To get them to understand, and by going out with this program, little bit, by days, by months, they get to understand. So to this present, our challenge is like it's over into a nice it coming down. The fisherman is easing, and they convert it to some other species, but not as arapaima. So our but we have still a little challenges with other communities who has not have strong spirit in terms of conservation. So this is where the challenges is right now. Um, to get this another thing right with this program, it's not easy to go ahead on your own. We need a technical assistance in terms of like financial resources to get things. These are these challenges we face, to get our program ongoing.
Okay. Nigel, to keep these efforts going and to ensure that the younger generation, is able to enjoy these natural resources and benefit in whatever way they can, what role do you have to play in passing on this knowledge to the next generation? How do we preserve these things so that young people understand the importance of conservation and their environment?
Okay, first of all, what we are doing at the moment is that we begin to engage um, the young people within our community to speak more about our conservation efforts. First of all, let me just speak on behalf of myself here, is that I was grown in a community where there are conservation programs that were being conducted by Iwokrama, then through NRDDB, whereas I was once a chairperson for a wildlife club within the community. All right, being said that, seeing these things, being educated through these programs, understanding the importance of natural resources, both to us and the environment and the ecosystem. It was like something new to me, but it is very important. Right now, as we approach this generation, where a lot of efforts have been put to conservation programs, we as the older folks or elders or resource person begin to teach, take them to this level where we are, by engaging them in carrying activities such as wildlife observations, picking informations, involved in all conservation activities. Even at the time now, as I speak, we have like wildlife festival where we attend small festivals where these young generations are educated of the importance of our natural resources. And with that said, as a community representative, as I said, now speaking here is that we are looking to our community in being a conservation zone, a conservation community. That is where we take the steps in this activity that is being implemented today, which is documented, to show our nation, to show the world, and even now bring education as a matter of fact to all citizens of Guyana, that this is a very important topic and issue we see it very important as a contribution towards our community because it's important. Why we see that our country is, high in tourism, and this is one of the must-see product, which is the Arapaima that we're speaking about now. It's very important. So that is how we want to take it to educate others, because the resource depends on us and we depend on the resources. Yes, that's how it important so much to us in this day.
Fantastic. And you said, we want to take this message far and wide to make more people aware. And I feel this is where I just want to lead into the documentary and what we're here to promote today. So
Okay.
this is where I come in. When, like I said, there was an extended drought, and one day someone had called me and told me about how bad the drought had gotten, and informed me of the efforts ongoing within Apothecary, going into all these dried up ponds, and your team was saving all these fishes. So automatically, being with Real Guyana, environmental film production company, I thought this was a great story for us to tell. Our objective is to tell the stories of Guyana and the Guyanese people, and the amazing things our people do to protect our heritage and our resources. And I researched this initiative. I saw that you guys were doing your Facebook posts on the ponds you were going, and it was just amazing to see what you were able to do. So when I came in to do the film, like, we didn't even know each other. We just happened to meet up in Apothecary.
Yeah.
And we ended up going on an amazing journey, which we will get into. But I want to talk about the importance of film and what this film is seeking to do. Nigel, why did you embrace the idea of allowing me to do this documentary? Thank you very much, both of you, for being so accommodating to me. But
Okay.
what was the value you saw in us doing this together? Like, what are we trying to achieve with this documentary film?
Okay. Why it is important to us, why I embrace it, it is because, we are trying to promote our community as a tourism destination. We want to promote this as a, package, and it must be something that, very important to the community, where we want to attract tourists from, let's say, from Guyana and other countries, to come to support us in this conservation effort that we're doing, to generate income, create employment, not only, again, I said, to our community, but I always speak for, like, the communities that are around our community there. So that is why it's important. Why we have to do this, it is because, like I said, we depend on each other. We secure these fishes, we make sure they're in good conditions and so on, and that, in turn, use these resources to generate income. And that is why we want to promote this documentary. It's very important, because it tells a true story. And I know it is important that maybe someone want to come in to have a lifetime experience, and it is real. It's something that is very important to us in that way.
No, the other importance to for this documentary and to us is it is a real, since we have the evidence that happened, and this thing will be like follow up by other communities in our region, right? So those people who are like attempting to have this conservation and activities going on, and we did it, we practiced it, and then this documentary will go around within the North conservation area, as we have also have protected area in our region. And so this documentary can circulate around the communities, that with this tangible thing happen, that they can follow and have the same strategy like how we have in here too. Yeah.
Amazing. Yes, and right now we want to show you guys a a recording that we did a few days ago, basically taking you through everything we did to film this documentary. Many people might assume that relocating arapaimas from ponds to river is something simple, where you just pick them up and put them in the river, but this is not the case. It's a very dangerous, arduous, and challenging initiative. And I want to just thank the people of Apatary for being so brave and strong and valuing their environment so much to start this initiative and inspiring other communities and other Guyanese to preserve what we have. Before we get into our presentation, I would like to thank our sponsors. Any creative endeavor would be virtually impossible without support and financing for production costs, marketing, distribution. So I would like to thank ExxonMobil and SBM Offshore for their support in recognizing the value of this film. And I would also like to encourage our local private sector to also get behind creative initiatives, because at the end of the day, this is what is going to drive our country forward, by telling our stories. We shouldn't have people coming in to tell our stories for us. We need our local people to document Guyana and its development and all the amazing things that is yet to be shared with the world. So without further ado, we want to present to you a podcast that we've recorded on the making of this documentary. We really hope you enjoy everything that has gone into it, and we cannot wait to share the official documentary with you this weekend, Sunday, the 22nd of September, available on all Real Guyana platforms. Thank you so much for your time, and I hope you enjoy.
With this effect of the long-term drought, the water drained very fast. The whole entire pond dried. How much arapaima we find? Dead one. I would say that we lose a lot. Large arapaima we lost here. This is a very, very big loss we have.
I am so happy that you have allowed me to play a small role in helping to get the message out. And I know you'll carry it home and you're just going to continue to build on the amazing efforts you guys have done so far. So with that in mind, I just want us to briefly go over our journey. And I want us to sort of just reminisce on the experiences, because I think my perspectives of what I went through might be totally different from what you guys remember, because to me it was such a crazy moment. And before we get in, I will reference one part where obviously I ran behind y'all everywhere you went with the camera. I was in the pond with you and filming, and then I remember one time arapaima would just 8-foot arapaima would just swim right through my legs, and I jumped out of my skin, and that was. But looking back, that's just a lifetime experience, you know, to be that close and to be so in it. And I remember there was a baby there in the mix as well. So it's so cool to see how kids start so young, being so comfortable with their environment, But anyway, so. I obviously named the documentary Releasing the Giants, Saving Guyana's Arapaima. I wanted your comments on that, actually. What do you think about the name? Releasing the Giants.
First place, the people who went in with us, especially the females, right? Especially females, they see this. They said they're really excited when they see this. Wow, they said, even my daughter says, Daddy, it's a giant we were with. And all those things, It's a very exciting.
Because there were never female handling arapaimas before. But this was first time ever
And they were
happened,
almost the star of the show in the whole journey. Like they
Yeah.
were amazing.
Yeah.
You know, I was so impressed. And not to say women can't do this by the way, but traditionally you don't see
Yeah.
many
Yeah.
women just
Yeah.
embracing that role, you know, because it's so dangerous as well, which we'll talk about in a second. So it's releasing the giants. Obviously, people know arapaima is the largest freshwater fish in the world. However, animal enthusiast friend of mine had to remind me, said, Alex, tell your audience it's the largest scaled
Scale-
freshwater
Yes,
fish in the
freshwater
world.
fish.
We just say freshwater fish because
Yeah.
we want to be the best, but it's actually the scaled. I think the largest freshwater fish I believe is the sturgeon, but they're not scaled like the arapaima.
Yeah.
So just to put that out there for the viewers. So I mean, as you can see, look at that huge, how huge that arapaima is. And I remember Titus, by the way. What an amazing guy. He was like, you know, in it. Him and Kenny.
Yeah.
Gotta give a shout out to them.
Yeah. Thanks to King William Adventure and Canicle Lodge.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So why is this so important? Why is saving arapaima important? So obviously it's part of catch and release sport fishing. Now this is a tourism product that a few lodges have offered, and you guys are starting to now take more seriously as you said, a follow-up to your conservation efforts. Is a sustainable means of economic activity. And you know, you attract visitors from all over the world.
Yeah.
To catch and release an arapaima is such a once in a lifetime experience for someone across oceans. You know, you get a lot of people from Japan coming in here.
What
do
I want
catch
to
and
say to
release.
Alex is that I understand over in Brazil they are farmed.
Yes.
And people go to those sports fishing there for them too, but they does not really have the experience that I have over in Guyana. Because these are really wild.
Yeah,
You understand?
absolutely.
They're not farmed or set where
Yeah.
people feed them and so on. They're just in their natural habitat.
Exactly.
And you know, that is why it's very important. Yeah.
And you have to go and look for them in the creeks and the lakes. It's part of the whole
Yeah.
experience, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
So it's again, it's like it's a bigger part of tourism. It's this like, oh, we go in. Not, I don't want to say hunting because you don't kill them, but we're seeking them out
Yeah.
in all the corners of the Amazon, you know, to be able to catch them, hold them, and then gently put them back, into the river or the pond. So I just want to sort of say that's the importance of, you know, it's one of the many reasons we save these fish, because indigenous communities, utilize this as an ecotourism product, as they should. And Rewa does a great job, and I'm sure you guys are going to eventually get there as well. So Apateri Village. A lot of people don't know about Apateri Village, but we're going to let them know today what it's about. My thing with Apateri, first time I was at Apateri Village, the one thing that stood out to me was the location.
Okay.
Because, you know, many people don't know that it sort of sits on the junction of the Rupununi and Essequibo River. And if you launch a drone, there's Apateri Village, first of all, on the map, just so
Yeah.
people know. It's kind of almost in the middle of Guyana, in a way. Apateri is here on the junction, but when you launch a drone above, you can actually see these two rivers flowing into one another. And it looks like almost like you're pouring milk in coffee, you know?
Correct.
Because Rupununi River is like kind of like a more milky color, and then the Essequibo is a darker. So I was like, when the first time I was there in 2018, or I think it's 18, I was just like amazed. I've never seen that before, you know. It's just a crazy sight to see from above, which you might not get to appreciate when you're in the river. But so, you know, we had an extended drought. I thought this picture as well of the river was so unique because you're seeing the sandbanks exposed, and it's so symbolic in a way because it looked like arapaima scales,
Yeah.
you know. So we had this extended drought, and what was crazy, Nigel and Campbell, is that I remember the boat ride to get to you guys at Apateri from Kurupakari crossing. It almost felt to me that I could have got out the boat and walked all the way to Apateri in the river. The water was that low. The
Yeah.
only reason we even needed the boat was the 1-2 rapids you had to cross, which were very shallow but strong, and the fact that we had so much equipment, you know. But other than that, you could literally hike down the river, and that just goes to show how low the water levels were.
Yeah, and this is the toughest time to get to aperture is when the water really low.
Yeah.
Yeah. It
Journey.
take wee hours sometimes. It
Yeah.
takes 8 to 12 hours.
Yes,
Yeah.
and we were on the river the first time, when we made our first stop up until night, and it felt very dangerous too because it started to rain and it was just a crazy experience. But part of the adventure, I gotta say. So this is just a picture of Campbell. This is you walking through the forest, and I remember early in the conversation we were talking about how dry and brown it got. But this is what is crazy to me is that look at how dry that is.
Yeah.
And we're seeing that for miles and miles. Every time we walk in, and it's crunch, crunch, crunch throughout the forest. You could see trees burnt up and charred, and it's very concerning, actually. This is another picture. This is a fire that's still going. You could see the smoke here
Yeah.
coming out. So, just interesting to be miles and miles and miles away from any community
Based on the
and smell
picture that
smoke.
we're looking at there, that's an assessment of how we're gonna get the fishes out there. We're looking for a way or a route, to cut a trail.
Yeah.
To see how you can get a fish out there. That's what it is there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm actually going to talk about that too, because I do talk about this is a presentation I made, by the way, when I was seeking funding and support for this. I had to go and
Okay.
present this to everybody
Okay.
and explain tell them my experiences and why they should support this documentary. So this is one of the many ponds you find inside the forest. Again, another symbolism picture here. This kind of vaguely is Arapaima outline.
Yeah.
What's the name of this pond? You guys remember?
Turtle pond.
Turtle Pond?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, Turtle Pond. And as you can see, the pond here is drying up. And again, deep within the forest. Luckily, this was close enough to the river where I guess we didn't risk killing the Arapaimas, but something we also have to consider.
Yeah.
Usually, if a pond is too far from the river, do you just, and it's drying up and Arapaimas are stranded, do you just, I guess you have to let it go, no?
Actually, what we do is that we have to assess, looking at the level of the water, look at the color of the water, and then looking at the distance between the pond and the near site. If it is a oxbow lake or a closer lake, a bigger lake, or the river itself, then you have to consider the density of the forest. Look at if it is uphill, downhill,
Yeah.
or if it's too, bushy, and so on. So once we have that consideration, we would be able to say, okay, this is very simple to rescue, all right? So, but if it is like difficult, we might take a chance, 50-50 chance. But once we could take one fish from a far point to the river and it survive, that ensure us that
Indicates it's a pretty good-
yes,
yeah.
it's gonna be something good for us.
A lot of people don't falsely assume that the pond to the river is a flat surface. You just go and as we found out, it's not.
Yeah.
Not only do you have to go up the inclines, but
Right.
it's getting over the fallen trees and all this stuff that you can't clear.
Yeah.
You mentioned looking at the color of the lake. What does that tell you?
Actually, you could naturally see when the water is getting real stagnant.
Okay.
Where fishes can, sometimes you find a lot of fine fish dying at the edge of the river, which means that, it's getting bad.
Yeah.
It will not be lasting for longer periods then. You
Understood.
understand?
The
Understood.
oxygen is very getting low. Yeah.
Yeah, gotcha. So yeah, just for comparison, so we have the same lake here, and then we have the river that we would release the fish in.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that you can see the distance you have to travel. It really gives you an idea, and it goes to show again the river is also itself drying up.
Yeah.
In comparison to the lake. So Kamal, this is you. I don't know. Have you seen this picture before online? No?
no.
So this is one I took.
I think.
This is what I took of you at the
No,
second lake.
I saw the one that they were measuring the fish.
Yeah.
Himself and somebody else.
Him and
I think that was
Lawrence.
trimmed. Yeah, that's trimmed on the thing.
yeah.
Yeah, on the trailer.
So this one here was 6+ feet, and allegedly about 400 pounds. So I was very impressed with this because it's hard to imagine a jaguar pulling this from the water up onto the land, and such a tragic loss there. I thought it was a very telling picture. And then obviously to see it decomposing and nature having its way with it.
Yeah.
But I guess that's just part of the circle of life. So going back to the trail, it's interesting to see how the team works with like clearing trail and utilizing that from the pond to the river. How everybody just picks up a cutlass and starts clearing very quickly, as a matter of fact. And to be able to do this without a chainsaw, to me, is very impressive. I mean, it's just a big team effort, and I think obviously comes with a lot of experience,
Yeah.
So I want to talk about the process of starting out with when once you reach the pond and once the mission of rescuing starts, everybody sort of goes in, and this is the part that really always impressed me, is that you sort of move like a military unit. Everybody just come and march around the fish. You sort of enclose it, and then that's where the wrestling begins. And as you can see here, the star of the show, everybody's with the stick sort of poking and feeling. Is this sort of like to you, a dangerous experience? Like, because you kind of don't know what's inside there, what's going to happen, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. That is like, firstly, is like testing out what's in there. Sometimes you can feel the difference between an arapaima and a black caiman in there. Because if you touch an arapaima, it would move away, right? But when you touch a black caiman, he wouldn't move.
Really?
No, he would just sit there. So you know exactly this is not an arapaima, right? Once you confirm that, right, and you feel this fish that is moving, exactly that's an arapaima. Cool. And the other thing about it is that you just locate the fish with a stick. You naturally could feel the scales, that kind of sharp you touch.
Yeah.
And once you touch that, well, I was doing that for, just locate a fish and then go for it and feel it. And once we could touch that fish and get hold of it, I just leave it to somebody else to go around and try to catch a fish. I mean, get a fish into the bag whatsoever.
Yeah. This is a great picture of, once you get the fish, once you locate it, is just the start of what you have to do. It's such a tedious and dangerous process. People don't understand how strong an arapaima is, where when it flicks its tail, it could essentially knock you out, So you there's a way you have to hold it that, sort of put yourself at less risk. And not to mention, you have to do this to a point where it becomes tired enough to be subdued, have you guys ever had any like experiences where people were injured, in ponds or got hit by an arapaima? Yeah.
Yeah, we do have, because the skulls of the arapaima is not something that is soft. I think 2 times our guys get knocked, so they were like swollen up, could not have walked properly the other morning. Yeah.
Even though, even one, I think one of the clients get hit, burst his forehead.
Oh, really?
So they are very dangerous.
Yeah.
So that's why we have guides to handle them. Experienced guides,
Yeah, definitely. This is you, Nigel. This is you and Lawrence here again. And it's funny because you kind of you just seeing something pulling a person above the water, and you don't really get to see it until it surfaces.
Yeah.
Great pictures. I'm gonna send you these for prosperity, so you could remember the good times.
One of the things we on this trip experienced though, these guys from Fairview never handle an arapaima that are not caught without lines.
Yeah.
So this was like a learning experience for them, because they keep telling us, some of them just stand up and watch how we handle these arapaimas, and they say we never handle an arapaima, but when they see us doing this, they start to build courage.
Yeah.
And say, oh, we have to do it too. So everybody just, go in.
You could see them getting the confidence.
Good. And in the ponds where there are many arapaimas, it's like everyone to an arapaima. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'd just like to take this moment to shout out Paraiba Lodge and Navin, as well as the guys Lawrence and Mark and a few others that I can't remember off the top of my head. But without them, this trip would not have been possible. And also, thank you guys for having that information sharing. It's so important to share this information across communities, so these efforts can expand beyond just the village. So once the Arapaima is sort of, there's a wrestle, and they get tired, is where we then have to put them into the sling to carry them through the forest. Now this in itself is another issue, because it requires multiple people, and you need more than just the people actually holding. You need about 4 other people running behind to switch out, because it's such a tiring
Yeah.
experience.
Yes.
What is sort of this effort like for you to get it out of the pond into the forest, to the river?
I want to bring back this point. Looking at the distance, now you have to start calculating the minutes on the way, because these fishes would probably take 15 minutes before they could take, let's say for the giants, it would take 15 to 20 minutes and so on, or even half an hour to take another gulp of air. So you have to look at the size of the Arapaima to say, okay, if it's a juvenile and adult, a baby one would be, small. He would probably come back like every 5 minutes
5
or so
minutes,
to
yeah.
take air, So you have to be very quick. So why we have other people waiting, to take over the load when another is tired, is because of time.
It's so
We
the
try
pace doesn't slow down.
Yes, we
Yeah.
try to beat the time so that the fish will arrive to the other side, lucky enough to, get on its way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. This is an overhead shot just to show you, what it looks like from that angle. It's a beautiful shot, actually, because everybody started gearing up and the fishes, they're chilling. And then also you kind of have to keep it in water, which adds to the weight. Water is so heavy.
Yeah. You see, when we get it from the water, we go to the land, we just kind of drain the water out quickly, right? So before it's too heavy.
Yeah,
So that we just take the weights of the Arapaima alone.
yeah.
Yeah.
And as we were talking about before, it's not a flat route from pond to river. You could see Mark here walking up a hill,
Yeah.
me here walking over logs behind. This is just to also put down the camera for a minute and actually take part in the exercise to understand what that's like. Is it was very mind opening for me, because this
Yeah.
is not something you just sort of
And
go
on
into.
this picture also, I would say thinking over certain things. Like we had this 2 logs, right? We have 4-person here, 4-person here. I was thinking, no, we're gonna use 1 log.
Yeah.
So we could just put this bag together and sling it so that we have more people on hand.
It's more efficient.
Yeah. So when you look there, it's just 4-person, 2 in front and 2 at the back. So we go like another 100 meters, somebody take over again. So it get more simplified,
Yeah.
So we begin to invent certain things there.
Yeah. And I guess this is the kind of thing you have to, it's like almost like the innovative ways you got to come up with to make the process manageable, I love that. And then obviously, we get it back to the river. And then there's that resuscitation period. You got the ladies. Of course, ladies are better at resuscitating than men. They're more gentle and caring. But you got these women here getting the fish. And Nigel, if you could talk to us briefly about what that process is. So, the Arapaima has to take a few breaths before we can let it go, right?
Yes. Well, actually, based on our training when we did catch and release training, the Arapaimas, when they're very weak at some point in time. You have to ensure that the fish retain the right energy, and you have to ensure that they have the right breaths before that you could release them. Because if you release the fish without coming and gulp for air, let's say about 3 times, right, and you release it, the fish would be unable again to come up and take air because it is still weak.
Right.
So what we do is babysit it for a while. We say babysit, we hold the fish up,
On the surface.
not directly on the surface. We just above the surface, and give it a couple of minutes. Let's say 10 to 15 minutes, depending on the energy that it has, right? So when the fish come up the first time, actually most of them, as soon as we reach into the riverside, to release them, the first one come up. We know that it's okay. So we keep it for a while to see if it can come back up. If it's too tired to come up, it will, you would see that it drag itself and it will be unable to come back to the surface, right? At that time, you would know you would help the fish to come up. and gulp the air and go down, back and settle for a while. Again, you have to wait. You just don't release it until when you feel that the fish have its own energy enough to come up, and take that air. If it's not 3 or 4 air, right? You give it that moment, and then when you feel that the fish is moving strongly by itself, you know that it's energized back.
Yeah.
So it get back to its normal strength. And then you go, and then you look for it after a while also. When you release it, you sit there and look, because it be able to come up.
Yeah.
Again by itself. Once you see it do that, you already know that it's back to normal. It's okay, everything is fine. At some point in time also, you gotta look when you release the fish or when it go down, and if you see bubbles coming at a certain spot, that means that fish is there, it's dying. So you have to get back into the water, dive for it, try to get it back to the surface.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of way more complicated than you think. You can't just throw it in the water and expect it to revive itself. And it's such a big fish to carry all that weight. It definitely is a lot of pressure. These are just a few clips of different fishes we've moved. It's amazing to be in the water with them. Is such an experience, But yeah, and this is obviously a group picture of all of us at the end. But that's pretty much it. Guys, I just want to say, thank you so much for doing this. This is a phenomenal initiative you guys are doing. I just want to reiterate how grateful I am to play a part, a very small part, but hopefully a very consequential part in moving this forward and helping you. And I can't wait for us to premiere this film this weekend to the whole of Guyana and the whole of the world. I think a lot of good things are going to happen from it. And I just want to say I wish you all the best moving forward. And hopefully we can work together soon, sometime in the future.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Okay, I just want to say special thanks to all the people that is viewing this morning. I want to say special thanks to Reels Guyana also, that you have made a tremendous contribution in promoting our community. Not only that, but resources, that can make a difference and contribute towards development into our communities. We take it something that is very important to our lives. And, I just want to say thanks for hosting us again and having us here this morning. Thank you all.
Absolutely.
How far will a small village go to protect their sacred resource for future generations? Catch the new documentary, Releasing the Giants, Saving Guyana's Endangered Arapaima. Premiering September 22nd on all Real Guyana platforms.